In this crypto update, I want to talk about Apple, Ryanair, also an unlikely endorsement of Bitcoin, and finally, Elon and his plans to mine gold from outer space. First, let's talk about Apple. Brian Armstrong of Coinbase still says Apple is hostile towards crypto. And why does he think this? Well, according to him, to quote, Apple has been very restrictive and hostile to cryptocurrency over the years. They're still blocking some functionality right now, including the ability to earn money with cryptocurrency by completing tasks and unrestricted dApp browsers. So looking at this, I can understand why Brian is frustrated, but I can also understand from Apple's side why they would not allow this. To have an unrestricted dApp browser would basically be having an unrestricted app store run on your iPhone, which for a long time it existed. Apple fought the jailbreakers. There was Cydia that was running wild, and they don't want that, right? So I can understand why Apple does not want dApp browsers on there, because they don't have control over the dApps that can be downloaded and what kind of effect it could have on iOS devices. So I could see Apple's side, but I could also see Brian's side or just the dApp maker side. Apple is very restrictive and there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through. And going back to the ability of earning money with cryptocurrency, that is something that Apple is fighting a lot of companies on right now. For example, Epic Games, the maker of Fortnite, they're in an ongoing battle with Apple. So normally both Apple and Google from their stores, they take a 30% cut from in-game purchases. And it has been that for a long time. Now, Fortnite decided to open up a new system of purchasing in-game credits, and it circumvents this so that they don't actually pay Apple 30%. So Apple got pissed off, and Apple just basically shut down the Fortnite app. And then Epic Games claims that it's unfair practice, so they're now suing Apple, they're countersuing, and they're going back and forth, right? So again, I can see both sides. Apple's not gonna like it because they're not getting that 30% cut from Fortnite, which they agreed to give. And then I can see Fortnite's side saying, you know what, we don't make that much money to begin with, and you're taking 30% of our cut, and you're unwilling to deal with us, so this isn't fair either. So I could see both sides, but Apple, you know what? Apple is Apple. And if you want to utilize their ecosystem, you got to play by their rules. So unfortunately for Coinbase and for any other cryptocurrency app out there, they have to play by Apple's rules or Google's rules until we get a good alternative. Now let's move on to Ryanair. So Ryanair is a major budget airline that I haven't heard of in the US, but it is around the world. And the CEO just came out and was very, very harsh on Bitcoin. To quote, I have never and would never invest 1 cent in Bitcoin, which I believe is equivalent to a Ponzi scheme. I would strongly advise everyone with any shred of common sense to ignore this false story and avoid Bitcoin like a plague. And what is he referring to? What is this false story? Well, you guys have heard of all these Bitcoin scams that's going on. Apparently, there's a new one called Bitcoin Lifestyle, and they have some, I don't know if they doctored his video or they just misquoted him, but basically they're utilizing the CEO of Ryanair and saying that he believes in Bitcoin, he made easy money, and everyone should join in. So I could see why he wants to distance himself away from this scam. However, I think he just went a little bit too far. Not only did he say that he has nothing to do with it, but he's also calling Bitcoin a Ponzi scheme. These days, you don't really hear that anymore. All the naysayers, they kind of changed their tune. All the bears became bulls. So it's really a breath of fresh air, I guess, to hear someone still remain so bearish on Bitcoin. But then again, everyone starts out bearish on Bitcoin until they realize they made a mistake, and then they turn a bull. So we'll see. An unlikely endorsement Bitcoin came out today when the front page news of a very popular Hong Kong newspaper did this. They printed out a full page, basically, ad about Bitcoin. Bitcoin will never ditch you. And it goes on and says Bitcoin is digital money, not issued or controlled by any government corporation. No one can stop you from transacting on the network and cannot be shut down, right? Now is the time. It's coming. This is a big endorsement. And the reason why is because the tension between U.S. and China, and now U.S. is sanctioning top officials from Hong Kong, including the CEO of this newspaper. He was recently arrested, and I believe he was let go. I may be wrong on that, but now you could see a lot of people from around the world. They're supporting Bitcoin. They're starting to see this, right? A lot of us take for granted that our fiat, our government is just there, that it is supported, and they're looking out for our best interests. But there's a lot of areas around the world that is simply not the case. So they're looking at alternatives. What is not controlled by government? Where can I park my money into and still feel like it's safe, that I can control my own money? And a lot of people are now turning to Bitcoin, and this is very positive. Lastly, let's talk about Elon and his plans to mine gold from outer space, at least according to the Winklevosses. Now, some of you guys have watched my video about Dave Portnoy. Some of you guys have just seen this video in general, where the Winklevosses, they were invited to Dave's house and they gave him a really simple breakdown of what Bitcoin is and how to buy it. During the discussion, the Winklevosses were trying to make example, saying that gold and any precious metal is not really scarce, even though right now it seems like it's scarce, but there's a ton of it floating in outer space, and they claim that Elon has plans to utilize SpaceX and mine gold from outer space, where Bitcoin is a set supply. You can't find more Bitcoin in outer space. So they were trying to make that point, and I didn't know this, but this discussion happened August 13th, and you could see Elon actually responded to it with this article, Psyche. So bringing that article up, NASA heads towards giant golden asteroid that can make everyone on Earth a billionaire. So basically, there's a new asteroid called Psyche 16, and this is kind of old news, but it's a giant asteroid made of solid metal. We're talking about gold, platinum, silver, anything to think of. It's worth $10 quadrillion. 10 quadrillion. And NASA is already heading there. So this asteroid is between Mars and Jupiter, and there's already a mission to send a probe there to study it. Actually, it's going to go out summer 2022, so another 2 years, and it will get there in 2026. Now, according to NASA, there's no plans on mining it. They're just studying it. I don't know if I really believe that, because NASA funding is really low these days. Actually, all basically NASA funding has been given to SpaceX. So why wouldn't they take a little chunk out for themselves? It just makes sense, right? Why wouldn't you not take advantage or simply hook up the probe to the asteroid and pull it back to Earth? If it did, think about it. It's worth $10 quadrillion, okay? Now, the total world economy right now is worth 75.5 trillion. 10 quadrillion, I can't even count how many zeros that is, and 75.5 trillion. It would basically collapse the economy on Earth. I mean, everyone would be a billionaire based on just gold that you can get from the asteroid. But anyways, let's not get off topic. The main point of this is, I don't know if Elon is actually planning on doing so with his SpaceX rockets, but he could easily do so if he wanted to. But the second thing is, yeah, the precious metals, the precious metals that people are talking about, gold, silver, platinum, palladium, whatever, there is scarcity. There is a set supply because it takes time to mine and dig it out and process and so forth, right? And there's limited companies that could do so. But ultimately, there's no end to it. We never know when the last gold nugget will be mined from the earth, right? We just don't know. Just like with oil, just like on anything, we know there's probably a set supply, but we don't know when that time will come. And now we're hearing that there is a lot more of these precious metals in outer space. And when you compare that to Bitcoin, it's mathematically set in code that there is a set supply. And that will never change no matter what happens, right? So that's the difference. One of the fundamental differences between Bitcoin and everything else is that we already know that there is a set supply. And with everything else, there isn't. Stocks, there's splits, right? And with oil, with precious metals, you could always find more, but not Bitcoin. All right, guys, that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed this crypto update. I am George. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Bye-bye.